Azima was not a woman who bowed to anyone. Not to her spouse, not to tradition, and certainly not to in-laws. Her tongue was like chili mixed with cloves. If you spoke one sentence, she would throw back 10. If you raised a hand, she would lift a bench. She had no fear of men, no fear of women. Even lightning trembled at her words. People on her street always warned, "Don't cross that woman." She wasn't as gentle as she appeared, and it was the truth. If traitors whispered near her, she would face them squarely. "Mention my name again, and I will scrub you like fabric." She refused to let anyone control her, not her spouse, not her preacher, and certainly not her in-laws. She often declared that a mother-in-law must respect boundaries. "She won't enter my home and start commanding me. Never!" Then she added, "If my husband still has a mother, may the heavens take her before I step into his house." When people heard this, they gasped. But Azima remained unbothered. Fire filled her bones, thunder echoed in her words. She walked like a ruler, spoke like a warrior. And when she was angry, it felt like a cyclone meeting a volcano. Yet, deep in her broad chest was a small, tender heart, one that longed for calm. She yearned for a man to cherish her like fresh harvest, a home filled with the warmth of dawn porridge, a place where her name was spoken with love, not scorn. But Azima's story wasn't sweet like sugar. Her temper was fuel. One little spark, and chaos erupted. Trouble followed her like a persistent shadow. She had been married not once, not twice, but 3 times, and each ended like shattered clay pots. Her first husband, Baraka, was tall as a palm tree. People called him gentle as a night breeze. But one evening, he and Azima argued over soup, just ordinary soup. He claimed it lacked enough salt. Azima rose slowly, like a lion roused from slumber. She grabbed a malt bottle, smashed it on his scalp, and screamed, "If you crave salt, go drink the sea." Blood trickled. Neighbors rushed in. The marriage collapsed that very week. Her second husband, Obina, was wealthy. He drove a grand car. One day, his father came to visit. A minor dispute flared in the compound. The old man barked, "This is not how a wife should act." Before he could even take a seat, Azima stormed into the kitchen, emerged wielding a knife, and hissed, "Speak again, and I'll slice your tongue like okra." The entire family shrieked, "She wants to harm our father." That union also ended in sorrow. The third marriage dissolved in ash and ruin. One night, Azima caught her husband messaging an ex on his phone. She didn't yell. She didn't react. She waited until he fell asleep. Then she doused kerosene around the parlor. By sunrise, the house had turned to embers. Crowds gathered, stunned. Her husband bolted outside, barefoot, wailing. The gossip spread like a raging blaze. Standing firm with fabric tied around her chest, Azima declared, "If fire can't cleanse nonsense, then let me turn to smoke myself." That marriage didn't survive a single moon. People began calling her Azima Fire. They whispered, "This woman needs no sorcery. Her rage alone can wreck an altar." But behind her fury, behind her bellowing, behind her stormy voice, she was lonely. She craved a hand to grip when exhaustion weighed her down. She wished for an embrace when her heart ached. She wasn't heartless. She simply didn't know how to submit. She had no desire for battles, only for peace. But peace always eluded her, like a fowl fleeing a butcher's blade. Far away, in another town, lived a man named Touku. Handsome, charming, teeth white as pearls, beard full like young yams. Age, 34, wealth, plenty. He owned 2 cars, a house grand as a temple, and a business thriving like the wind. People often said, "You have it all except a wife." Every Sunday, neighbors teased, "Mr. Touku, when will we feast at your wedding?" He would only smile and wave. But beneath his grin lay a secret. The real reason Touku was unmarried had nothing to do with bad luck. It was because of one woman, Mama Doris, his mother. That woman's voice was a clanging bell, loud and relentless. Her eyes were piercing, sharp as a sewing needle. Her voice could wake even a lifeless goat. She had retired from teaching, yet she still yelled as if the classroom was full. Villagers feared her more than they feared a cobra. She always held a Bible in one hand and lightning in the other. Every morning, her prayers rang out, "Holy Ghost fire, return to sender. My son will not marry a Delilah." Even after Touku became an adult, Mama Doris still treated him like a toddler. She barged into his room without warning. She rummaged through his drawers, inspected his shirts, and even sniffed them to check if another woman had been near. If he brought a lady home, she would stand in the kitchen, arms crossed, face hard as a boulder, and scoff. "Who taught you to cook like this? Is this food or punishment?" Touku loved his mother, but that love felt like a cage. No matter who he introduced, Mama Doris would drive them away like wind scattering fallen leaves. "No woman is worthy of my son," she declared. "They only want his wealth and to control his fate." She shadowed him constantly. Even when he traveled, she called every hour. Touku was exhausted. His house was silent, his bed felt empty, yet peace remained distant. The one person who should bring him comfort, his mother, was the very one bringing storms. Touku was a quiet man, calm in his ways. He had both money and wisdom. After studying overseas, he returned and launched his own company. He purchased a house, 2 cars. People said, "This one is prime husband material." Then he met Amaka. Amaka was soft as cake, her voice gentle, her smile fresh as dawn mist. She was respectful, composed, and peaceful. She once worked in an office, but after marrying Touku, she left her job to support him. She managed the home, handled business papers, cooked, cleaned, doing everything with joy. She welcomed him at the door every night with a smile. But Mama Doris was unimpressed. From the start, her eyes narrowed like thread through a needle. "She doesn't kneel properly," she whispered. Amaka greeted her again, smiling. Mama looked away. "Her cooking lacks a wife's touch," she grumbled. "Too much salt, too little oil. Maybe she's bewitching my son. I'm watching her." 1 month into the marriage, Mama Doris arrived. "I'm feeling weak. I just need a little rest," she said. She came with 1 small bag, but by evening, her belongings filled every corner. Her wrapper hung in the bathroom. Her Bible took the dining table. Her slippers stood by the master bedroom. She entered the kitchen like its owner, rearranged the shelves, changed the cooking pot, discarded Amaka's stew, and made her own. Before dawn, before even birds could chirp, Mama Doris banged on Amaka's door. "Where's my hot water? Why are you still asleep? Don't you know morning prayers start at 5? She squeezed herself between Amaka and Touku on the couch. She grabbed the remote, switched channels, laughed loudly when Amaka spoke, and scoffed when she stopped. Whenever Touku traveled, Mama Doris moved into the bedroom, slept in their bed, inhaled the pillows, and took over everything. Amaka remained quiet, but her eyes changed. Her smile faded, her shoulders slumped, but Mama Doris wasn't done. She called Amaka lazy, jobless, accused her of trapping Touku with pregnancy. Amaka endured. She cooked, cleaned, knelt properly, prayed, but it was never enough. Then came the lie that shattered everything. One Sunday, Amaka and Touku debated house rent, just a routine discussion. Mama Doris eavesdropped behind the door. By sunset, half the village had heard, "Amaka slapped my son and cursed our ancestors, calling them beggars." Amaka wept. Her heart grew heavier, her spirit weaker. One evening, after enduring 2 hours of Mama Doris's yelling, she packed her bags. She left a brief note on the table. "I arrived with love, but leave with sorrow. May peace return to your home." She departed, vanishing like wind through an open window. 2 years drifted by like Harmattan winds. Touku's heart was weary, but he still longed for love. Then, at a high-profile business meeting, he met Hail Lima. She was brilliant, fearless, and strikingly beautiful. She worked in a major corporation. She didn't kneel to greet, but she spoke with dignity. Her smile was warm, not just from her lips, but from her eyes. Most importantly, she made Touku laugh again. He didn't tell Mama Doris, not yet. He quietly married Hail Lima in court. No traditional drums, no village celebration, just 2 rings and a vow. But secrets never stay buried for long. When Mama Doris found out, her voice shook the walls. "You married who? A woman I haven't even met? From another culture? Another faith? And you did a court wedding? Is it now you wish to die, Touku?" "Mama, she's a kind woman," Touku pleaded. Mama Doris folded her arms. "Kind where? You brought a stranger into my home. You want lightning to strike us?" Touku sighed. "Mama, please just give her a chance." So, Hail Lima arrived, dressed neatly, smelling fresh, speaking softly. Mama Doris didn't respond to her greeting. She simply walked out of the room. That night, during prayers, Mama Doris raised her voice, praying for a long time. "Any strange woman in my son's life, Holy Ghost fire, any Delilah sent to destroy this family, Father, expose her." Hail Lima sat still, blinking away tears. But she stayed. Then, one day, she returned from the hospital with heartbreaking news. She had lost the baby. Touku held her close, comforting her. But Mama Doris stood in the doorway and scoffed. "I knew it, an empty vessel. You married a woman who cannot bear children. Do you want to die without a child?" She repeated it at breakfast. She said it in front of guests. She threw it around like stones. Hail Lima wept into her pillow, cried in the bathroom, sobbed in silence. Then, before the first rooster crowed one morning, she packed a small bag. She left a brief note. "I came with peace, but peace did not welcome me. I pray your son finds his voice someday." She placed it on the kitchen table, gently shut the door, and left. Just like Amaka, she disappeared. But this time, Touku didn't just lose a wife. He lost something deeper, hope. For years he stayed alone, not letting any woman into his life. Then, one bright afternoon, when the wind was soft and the sky calm as still water, Touku attended a friend's birthday party. That was where he saw her, Azima. She walked in like a queen aware of her throne. Her steps were firm, her gaze sharp, her voice smooth as evening rain. She didn't smile too much, but when she did, it could melt stone. Touku's heart skipped a beat. He tapped his chest. Then he walked over. They talked and laughed. Saki. More they spoke, the more he realized. This one was different. She had fire, but it wasn't reckless. It was steady, focused, controlled. She told him about her job, how she ran her own digital firm, how she had no patience for foolish men or unnecessary drama. Touku exhaled. "I need to tell you something," he said. She met his eyes. "Go on." He rubbed the back of his head. "My mother, she's very involved. She destroyed my last 2 marriages. She wants to control everything. I just want peace this time. Please, Azima." Azima chuckled, not loudly, just deeply. "Then let me meet the lioness in her den," she said, her eyes glinting. "I am not your ex's. I don't bow for nonsense. If she brings fire, I have my own." Touku smiled, but there was unease behind it, because he knew 2 fires don't bring peace. They make smoke, and maybe war. The first day Azima stepped into Touku's kitchen, she smiled and tied her apron. The air smelled of peppers and palm oil. She hummed softly as she stirred the pot. Mama Doris stood at the doorway, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She watched like an eagle watching its prey. Azima added, "Crayfish." Mama Doris hissed. Azima added, "Pepper." Mama Doris stepped forward. "Ah, is this food or punishment? Do you want to burn someone's tongue?" Azima didn't reply. She just stirred slower. "Where's the scent leaf?" Mama Doris demanded. "This soup has no soul." She pinched some salt, licked her fingers, then dropped the spoon with a loud clang. "Too many seasonings. Modern girls don't know how to cook anymore." Azima blinked. Her grip on the spoon tightened, but her lips stayed sealed. That evening, as Touku parked his car, Mama Doris rushed out with excitement. She embraced him before he could even step down. Her voice dripped with sweetness, like fake honey. "My son, my crown, welcome home." As he walked inside, Azima followed with a cold glass of juice. Mama Doris quickly stepped in front of her and took it first. "Let me serve him. I raised him. You just arrived." Azima froze. She didn't blink. She didn't smile, but her eyes burned like embers under dry wood. Touku looked from his mother to Azima. He felt it. Something was brewing, something strong, something that smelled like smoke before fire. One morning, after Mama Doris insulted her for the 5th time before breakfast, Azima sat in the living room, legs crossed, eyes glued to the television. Mama Doris stood by the door, arms folded, ready to begin another complaint. "You didn't greet me this morning," she said, voice sharp as shattered glass. Azima turned her head slowly. "I greeted you, Mama. You greeted like you were doing me a favor. Is that how your people greet elders?" Azima rose to her feet, walked closer. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. "Mama, I have been patient. I have cooked. I have cleaned. I have tolerated your words. But let me make one thing clear. Respect is not one-sided. If you push me, I will push back." Mama Doris gasped as if ice water had been poured on her. She took a step back and yelled, "Touku, are you hearing this? She wants to fight me. This girl has fire in her eyes. Send her away before she burns this house down." Touku stepped out slowly from the room, bewildered, exhausted. He stared at the two of them, the mother who raised him, the woman he cherished. But Azima stayed still. She shed no tears. She made no sound. She simply stood firm like a tree that resists the storm. And in that instant, Mama Doris realized it. This one was staying put. The home was silent. That afternoon, sun blazed. Air was arid. Even the fan groaned. Azima remained in the kitchen cooking rice. Mama Doris lay in her room, quiet like a serpent in grass. Then abruptly, "Oh Lord," Mama Doris shrieked. She bolted into the living room, clutching. Her arm blood oozed. Her wrapper was smeared. Her voice rattled the walls. An hour later, Touku returned from work. He pushed open the door and spotted blood on the tiles. He let go of his bag, pulse racing. "What occurred?" he yelled. Mama Doris dashed. Out wrapper loosened, tears spilling. Touku faced Azima. "Is this real?" he demanded. Azima's gaze burned, not with remorse, but with fury. "I never touched her," she murmured. "I never even approached her." Mama Doris collapsed, wailing, like morning had begun. Touku's mind reeled, but deep within, something felt amiss. He waited till midnight when all were asleep. Then he recalled the tiny camera he had placed in the kitchen months earlier after burglars broke in. He discreetly grabbed his phone, launched. The app rewound the footage, and there it was. Mama Doris, standing alone, holding a small razor, glancing around. Then deliberately, she slid it across her own skin. Blood trickled. She hurried to the sink, rinsed the blade, wiped her hands, and sat back. Down as if nothing had transpired, Touku dropped his phone. His fingers trembled. He uttered nothing the next day. He didn't yell. He didn't sob. But from then, his vision cleared. The woman he called mother wasn't just a prayer warrior. She was war incarnate. The day arrived. Azima stood one morning, secured her wrapper tightly, and told Touku, No marriage until I meet your relatives. I need to know your roots. Touku agreed. All right, we'll travel to the village for introductions. Before the words could rest, Mama Doris shouted from behind, I must accompany. You won't enchant my son in that village. I must guard with prayers. Azima glared at her. Mama. Doris glared back. Fire met fire. But neither spoke, so the three packed belongings, large sack for Mama. Doris' small suitcase for Azima. Touku carried just a briefcase. That evening they boarded the night train. As they stepped into the compartment, Mama, Doris hurried forward and sat beside Touku. Her fingers already clutching his arm, firm like a knot. She eyed Azima and smirked subtly. Azima observed her, then silently took a seat across them. Her stare was steady, her lips expressionless. Tension sat between them, not yelling, not sobbing, merely waiting. The train rumbled forward, chuku, 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 chuku. The engine's rhythm masked the stillness in the car. Whenever Azima attempted to speak, Mama Doris would cough loudly. Whenever Touku smiled. At Azima, Mama Doris would seize his hand and ask, My son, are you hungry? Should I make you tea? Azima stayed silent, but her fingers twisted her wrapper like a soldier securing armor. Night descended. The cabin lights dimmed, but the heat in that train was only starting. The train crawled through darkness. The window whistled faint air. The engine hummed softly, like drums beating in the void. Inside that cabin tension breathed. Mama Doris had already claimed the seat beside Touku. Her bag rested. Near her feet, her palm pressed his lap. My son need water? Shall I fan you? Hope you're not too cold. Azima sat across. Her eyes were dry, her lips taut. She spoke no word yet. Her leg trembled beneath her wrapper, like thunder rumbling in clouds. Whenever Azima uttered a word, Mama Doris would laugh boisterously and reply, Nobody asked you. If Touku turned to acknowledge Azima, Mama Doris would clasp his hand instantly and say, Look at me, my son, ignore her. She's just envious because you cherish me more. Passengers around them pretended to sleep, but one by one, eyes began peeking. Mama Doris opened a cooler, pulled out tiny puff-puff. Here, my son, eat. Don't accept anything from her. You have no idea what she put inside. Touku cleared his throat. Azima stared at him. He averted his gaze. Azima's chest now rose and fell, like wind-stoking embers. She wanted to respond. She wanted to scream, but she remained still like a lion watching prey misstep. Her hands clenched her wrapper firmly. Her eyes stayed unblinking. Her ears absorbed every word Mama Doris scattered like bitter grains. And Mama Doris never relented. She kept chattering, kept giggling, kept tossing remarks like pebbles on water. Let them say I talk a lot. At least my lips don't speak deceit or spells. The air in the compartment grew dense like trapped smoke, refusing to escape the ceiling. Something was about to erupt, a kind of detonation only silence could set up. Touku's mouth parted. He longed. Words hid from his tongue. He wanted to speak, but couldn't. Mama Doris stood up, adjusted her wrapper, and declared, I can't wait for the elders to witness what you've brought into our home. This isn't a wife. This is a storm in a wig. She pointed at Azima. You've disrespected me in my kitchen, inside my house, inside my son's heart. But today, in front of these people, you've crossed the final line. Azima's fingers clenched tighter. Touku rubbed his forehead. Mama Doris raised her voice again. You think a pretty face means good manners? You think expensive clothes prove you have respect? My son, are you seeing? She's trapping you with fake kindness. Someone whispered. This woman has no filter. Another person subtly shifted aside, preparing for what was coming. Azima lifted her head slowly, locking eyes with Mama Doris. Hot, sharp, and ice-cold. Mama Doris trembled, not from fear, but from fury. Her eyes red like burning pepper, her fingers spread wide like a frying pan, her hand rose into the air. "Let me teach you how to respect your mother-in-law today," she declared. Her palm cut through the air, but Azima was swift, sharp, smooth, like a cat avoiding flames. She dodged the slap, and before Mama Doris could pull her hand back, bam! Azima's slap landed, hot, loud, unforgiving. The sound cracked through the cabin. A baby in the corner burst into tears. A woman gasped and covered her mouth. A man dropped his snacks. Mama Doris froze. Her hand remained in the air. Her cheek turned red as glowing coal. She shrieked, "You slapped me? Me? Your mother-in-law?" Azima stood, her wrapper quivering at her waist. "Yes, because enough is enough. You've carried insults like a handbag, but today, I drop it back for you." Mama Doris staggered to her feet. Her legs wobbled like a broom dancing in Harmattan wind. She pointed a trembling finger at Azima, her lips quivering, her voice cracking like an old radio. "My son, are you watching? She has finally revealed her true self, a Jezebel, a daughter of vipers." Touku sat there frozen. His mouth was open, but no words emerged. The train didn't stop, but inside that cabin, the world had stopped moving. Silence suffocated the air. Even the wind outside seemed to hold its breath. Something bigger was coming. The heat inside the cabin wasn't from the weather. It was from the burning rage inside people's chests. Azima stepped forward. Her face was solid as grinding stone. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her hands trembled. She grabbed Mama Doris by the arm. Her voice was loud, her words sharp. "Go and destroy his life elsewhere. Not here, not inside, not with me around." Mama Doris jerked back. "Don't touch me! Don't touch me, you witch!" Azima did not release her. Mama Doris struggled, twisted her arm. Her wrapper slipped slightly. Passengers had now risen. Someone yelled, "Hey, take it easy!" But it was already too late. The train door had been left slightly open for fresh air. Mama Doris lost her footing. Her slipper folded. Her feet faltered. Her body tilted the wrong way. One scream. Just one. Then, whoosh. Her body was carried away like a plastic bag caught in the wind. Silence devoured the cabin. People rushed to the window. Touku lunged forward, grabbing the edge of the door. But there was nothing. Just the night wind and the endless railway tracks. The train kept moving. No one spoke. No one blinked. Even Azima remained still, her hands still outstretched, her eyes wide, as if she had seen a ghost. Mama Doris was gone. Just like that. The train never stopped, but silence, fear, and shock boarded it together. Before the train reached the village, the news had already arrived like gossip on a bicycle. Mama Doris fell off the moving train. They say Azima pushed her. She's dead. No, some say she vanished into the bushes. Mouths moved, ears listened, but hearts did not mourn. Because the villagers knew Mama Doris. They knew her words. They knew her ways. She was the woman who chased her neighbor with a Bible, the one who poured anointing oil into people's food, the one who prayed fire upon every bride. So when the story reached the village square, no one screamed. They only shook their heads. An elder removed his chewing stick, wiped his lips, and muttered, "Sometimes evil wraps itself in respect." Another nodded and said, "That girl may have saved him from spiritual destruction." Even the women who once gossiped about Azima started whispering differently. "At least this one doesn't deal in charms," one said. "She just had enough," another murmured. The village chief heard it too. He gathered the elders. They sat under the mango tree and spoke quietly. No one said, "We must punish Azima." No one said, "Call the police." No one even said, "What a tragedy." Because, deep down, they all knew Mama Doris had spent her life fighting peace, and this time, Peace fought back. The train finally stopped at a small station. People hurried off. Some still whispered. Some were just silent. Railway workers called for rescue teams. Flashlights flickered. Voices yelled into the darkness. Check the thicket. Look near the track. She might still be breathing. After almost a mile, they discovered her. Mama Doris lying deep in the undergrowth. Her cloth was ripped. One limb twisted like an old stick. Her head was swollen on one side, red stain on her elbow, dots all over her cheeks, but she was gasping faintly, like air forcing its way through a tight gap. She groaned. Liquid. Somebody bring me liquid. They hurried her to the closest clinic in town. Doctors lifted her inside, caretakers wiped her up, air tube entered her nostrils. Siring pierced her palm. Dressing covered her limb. She didn't perish. Her body was fractured, but her mouth still stirred, barely. Back at the stop, Azima walked off the train gradually. Her gaze was exhausted. Her cloth was slack. Her hands clutched her tiny pouch. 2 officers approached. No salutation, no speaking. One retrieved iron chains and said, "You are being detained for trying to kill." The cuffs snapped around her wrist. Touku stiffened. Bystanders shouted, "Ah, she didn't push her." It was an accident, but officers ignore noise. They lifted Azima into the van like she was a burglar, drove off. Touku stood still, chest heavy, stare vacant. His world was now as shattered as Mama Doris's body, scattered, hurting, unsure if it would mend. Mama Doris lay on the clinic bed, dressing on her head. Her limb was tied with white fabric. A drip bag dangled beside her like a silent warning. She looked frail, but pride still sat on her face, the same pride that had chased Harmony from her home. Touku entered softly, carrying grief. He pulled up a seat, sat beside her. His words were sharp, slicing. "Why, Mama? Why do you loathe every woman I bring? What wrong have they done to you?" Mama Doris turned away, staring at the ceiling. "I was shielding you." Tuku's expression hardened. His voice rose. "Shielding me?" He scoffed. "You have shattered my heart 3 times. You sent Amaka away. You labeled Hail Lima barren. Now Azima is in a police cell because of you." Mama Doris parted her lips, but no words came. Touku stood abruptly, hand gripping his chest. His eyes glistened, but he wiped them quickly. "If you don't confess the truth today, I swear I'll leave this clinic and never return. You can perish here alone, Mama. No tears, no farewell." Stillness settled in the room. Even the drip stopped its faint sound. Mama Doris turned her head slowly. Her lips quivered, her gaze flickered. Then she whispered, "Touku, you are not my flesh and blood." Tuku's head snapped up as if he had just heard thunder beneath water. "What did you say?" Mama Doris exhaled deeply, staring at the ceiling as if talking to the sky. "Your father had 2 wives. I was the first. No child, nothing. Then he married Nika, your real mother. She conceived within a year, but she died giving birth to you. Your father gave you to me, pleaded with me to raise you as my own. He told the world I was the one who birthed you. I agreed. But deep inside, I never forgot how Neka ridiculed me." Touku didn't budge. Mama Doris continued, her voice cracking. "She used to laugh at me, said I was just taking up space. Said she gave your father what I never could, a son. Her words haunted me like a shadow." Touku blinked slowly. His lips parted, but no sound followed. "And every time you introduced a woman, it felt like Neka was taunting me again. I saw her in them. I heard her voice, and I couldn't hold myself back." Mama Doris began to weep, but Touku did not reach for her. His heart was already torn. The woman he had called mother had carried resentment for years and planted it into his life like venom in food. Touku rose slowly. His chest felt weighed down like a sack of soaked sand. So, all this suffering, all this wreckage, was because of something she said before passing? Mama Doris nodded, tears rolling. I let anger grow inside me, and it blinded me. She sobbed harder, but Touku didn't console her. He picked up his phone, walked toward the exit. Before stepping out, he said, voice low like cold rain, You didn't ruin them, Mama. You ruined me. Then he left. Her cries followed, but his ears had shut. Back at the station, the officers reviewed footage from the kitchen camera. They saw it all, Mama Doris alone, holding the blade, slicing her own skin, rinsing the knife. Later, on the train, they saw her slip. No shove, just a struggle, a misstep, and a fall. It was clear now. Azima had not attempted to kill her. The case was dismissed. Azima exited the cell. Her gaze was swollen, her voice was weary, but her spirit stood firm. Touku waited outside. He took her hand, said little. But that single touch spoke volumes. Later he visited the clinic, settled the bills, bought medicine, paid for a wheelchair, arranged transport. But when it was time to speak to Mama Doris, his tone was frigid. You are going back to the village, Mama. She blinked fast. Let me stay a while. I will behave. Let me at least bless the house when you two marry. Touku shook his head. You have cursed this house enough. You poured pepper in my peace. You turned my heart to ash. There's no more space for you. Not in my house, not in my future. Madame Doris started crying. Touku, I raised you, I carried you, she sobbed. He looked away. And then you broke me, one piece at a time. He called his uncle, arranged transport, and told the driver, drop her in front of the old compound. If she tries to come back, don't open the door. He also sent a message to all the family members. Let nobody bring her back into my house. Not for a mugu, not for birthday, not for burial. She's not welcome. And just like that, Mama Doris left. The city in a van with a wrapper, a walking stick, and the shadow of her own mistakes. 3 moons passed like lazy breezes. No noise, no drama, no village dance. Touku and Azima wore simple clothes, invited a few friends, just rings, smiles, and small jollof. The pastor said, May this house know peace. Azima said, Amen. And this time, she meant it from her heart. No, family elders came. No family meeting was held. They didn't wait for permission, they just wanted peace. And they finally got it. Back in the village, Mama Doris sat in her old room, her legs still twisted, her head still had the score. Her voice was quiet now, like a generator that ran out of fuel. Only one cousin came sometimes to sweep, cook small soup, and drop medicine. Nobody visited, nobody called her, nobody mentioned her name in Touku's house. Even during prayer, her name was skipped like a bad verse in the Bible. The woman who once shouted every morning now sat by the window watching silence like it was punishment. And maybe it was. Moral of the story: bitterness is like slow poison. It doesn't kill fast. It waits. It hides. It grows. Mama Doris watered bitterness like a flower, and pain grew tall in her house. She thought she was protecting her son, but she was burning his future. She chased away love, pushed peace outside, and hugged anger like a baby. She forgot. Not every wound comes from strangers. Some are cooked in the same kitchen we eat from. Touku found truth. It broke him, but it also opened his eyes. Azima found peace, not in a big wedding or loud praise, but in a home where love was not fighting for space. Mama Doris found silence, not the kind that brings rest, but the one that comes when no one is listening anymore. This tale is a calabash full of lessons, because love without boundaries is not love, and family without respect is not home. Aichi, hope you found the story enjoyable. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, share your thoughts on the lesson from this tale, and remember to subscribe to the channel for more captivating stories like this. Thank you.